The galaxy had known only one ruler for over 3,000 years, the Core Empire. Their war fleets crossed the stars, their shadow touched 1,000 worlds. Species bowed, planets fell silent. Resistance was rare. Survival meant obedience. The Core were proud, tall creatures, cold minds, steel skin, born for command. They believed they were perfection, and they believed nothing could ever challenge them. Then they noticed Earth. It was small, a blue dot near a dying sun. The Core hadn't even charted it before. The only reason they saw it now was because of a signal, a strange, clumsy signal bouncing through an old part of the galaxy. Primitive, said Commander Vec. They still use chemical engines and analog radio. Send a scout. Study them. Prepare their place in the Empire. Ordered High Strategist Lore. A sleek black scout ship entered Earth's orbit. It moved unseen above the clouds. It scanned cities, satellites, languages. The Core aboard laughed at what they saw. No defense grid, no fusion weapons, divided governments. Weak biology, said the lead analyst. They sent a probe to land quietly in a forest and never sent data back. Then the scout ship vanished. Not a distress call, not a whisper. Gone? Commander Vec frowned. Send another. The second ship entered. Low orbit. This time, it didn't hide. It hovered. Lights flashing. Cameras recording Earth saw it and responded. A fighter jet approached. Old, noisy, slow. The Core didn't even bother raising shields. The jet fired something, not a missile. Some kind of electronic pulse, crude, unstable. But it hit. The scout's systems died. The ship fell, but that wasn't the shocking part. 2 hours later, Earth's broadcast stations showed video footage, humans surrounding the fallen alien ship, cutting it open, dragging out the Core pilot alive. We have captured an unknown being, said a human general on live TV. It arrived. Without warning, we are not afraid. The galaxy watched in shock. Vex stared at the transmission. They captured one of us. How? They're not what they seem, Lore whispered. Within days, the Core Empire sent a diplomat ship. Not to fight yet, but to show dominance. We will offer them a place under our flag, said Lore. Let them bow before power. The diplomat ship landed outside a city called Geneva. The Core ambassador stepped out, tall and armored, voice booming. Humans of Earth, he said. You are now under Core protection. Do not resist. Your world will be improved. The humans replied with silence. Then one stepped forward. A woman, in a plain black suit, calm eyes, strong voice. No, the ambassador blinked. Excuse me, she repeated. We say no. Earth is not yours. Then you have made a mistake, said the Core, a fatal one. That night, the ship tried to leave. It exploded in the sky. Back on Core Prime, panic spread. The humans were not only resisting, they were winning. Lore ordered a small strike force to land. 5 ships, 50 elite warriors, each one stronger than any human. None returned, only a message. 5 words, you should not have come. The Core couldn't believe it. For the first time in 3 millennia, fear began to grow. What was Earth hiding? More ships followed, bigger fleets, stronger weapons. But Earth was ready each time. They didn't have advanced technology like the Core, but they had something else. They were unpredictable, one ship reported. They dig tunnels and set traps. They use weather, fire, animals, poison, dirty tactics. Another said, they don't fight for power, they fight for home, and they fight together. When the Core tried to scan Earth's defenses, the data kept changing. They're learning. From us, Lore said, eyes wide, too fast. Faster than possible. Then came the real twist. The Core lost contact with their own colonies. Planets near Earth suddenly stopped sending tribute. Slave races began rising up. On the dark planet Yelkar, a slave rebel leader declared, "We saw Earth stand. Now we stand too." The Core sent a dreadnought to destroy Earth. It didn't reach orbit. Something no one knew what tore it apart. In Deep Space. One black box survived. Its final transmission whispered one sentence: we're not fighting humans. We're fighting something else inside them. Back on Earth, humans never showed panic, never begged. They built new ships. Their technology changed weekly. One Core commander described it. They steal our tech, break it down, and rebuild it. Better. The Empire began to break. Lore sat in silence in the great hall of Core Prime. "They were supposed to be nothing," he said softly. Vec replied, "They were. But we pushed them." Then came the final blow. Earth sent a message. Not to demand, surrender, not to threaten. Just one statement, broadcast across the galaxy. "We do not want war, but we do not kneel." That message reached every enslaved world, every species watching. The galaxy shifted, all because of humans. The Core tried one last invasion. All remaining fleets, hundreds of ships. They launched at once. They never reached. Earth, a hidden weapon, one never seen before, activated at the edge of the solar system. A ripple tore through space. The Core fleet vanished, dash erased. Earth did not explain what it was. They only sent one more message. Let this be the last time. The Core Empire collapsed within days. Its leaders vanished. Some fled, others gave up. No one wanted to rule a galaxy where Earth stood tall. Years passed. A new council rose led by Earth and its allies. Not an empire, but a pact. No forced rule. No slaves. Every voice counted on the ruins of Core Prime. A historian wrote, "They ruled for 3,000 years, but they made one mistake. They found Earth, and nothing was ever the same." The Core Empire had fallen, its war fleets gone, its commanders missing, and its fearsome grip across the stars broken. For the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy was free, and at the center of that freedom was Earth. But the story wasn't over, far from it. Something had changed in the galaxy. The fall of Core left a vacuum, a deep, silent hole that every race could feel. Planets that had once been afraid now looked to Earth for answers, but Earth stayed quiet, too quiet. General Kale, leader of Earth's space defense, stood in front of a large screen in the underground base known only as Station Black. His face, it was calm, but his eyes were sharp. "Status of the outer defense grid?" he asked. A young officer replied, "Grid is holding, no intrusions, but we're getting strange signals again." Kale didn't blink. "Show me." The screen flashed. It wasn't Core tech. It wasn't anything anyone recognized. Not signals, not words, just sound. A slow, pulsing hum, low, deep, almost like breathing. Kale leaned closer. "Not alien," he whispered. "This feels older." Technician asked, "Should we trace it?" "No," Kale said. "We let it come to us." Meanwhile, in deep space, a salvage crew explored the wreck of a destroyed Core dreadnought. 3 human ships floated near the shattered metal giant. The Core ship had been ripped in half. No scorch marks, no burns. It hadn't exploded. It had simply been broken, like something bent it from the inside. One crewman said, as they entered the wreck, one of the explorers, Dr. Mia Ren, noticed something strange. Core armor melted, but not from heat, acid. Someone asked. "No," she said slowly. "This is biological." Suddenly, their radios crackled. Something was moving inside the ship. They weren't alone. Back at Station Black, the signals grew louder. Not just noise anymore, patterns, symbols, something was trying to communicate. Kale called for the AI translator to analyze it. After a few minutes, the AI spoke one line. "We saw what you did." Everyone in the control room froze. "Who is we?" one soldier whispered. More symbols appeared. The translator struggled, but managed to form a sentence. "You ended the old rulers. Now, we test you." Kale stood still. "We," he repeated, before anyone could respond. An alert blared. "Unregistered vessel approaching Earth orbit. Fast? No? Known design." All defense satellites turned toward the target. Kale gave the order. "Do not fire unless I say so." The ship came into view. That wasn't a ship. It was something else. A dark shape, shifting, twisting like it was alive. It hovered above Earth, silent, no weapons, no engines, just watching. Then, something dropped from it. A small pod fell through the atmosphere and crashed into the Pacific Ocean. Earth scrambled jets, submarines, science teams. The pod was found cracked open. Inside was no creature, only a cube, black, cold, smooth as glass. Floating a few inches off the ground, every machine nearby went silent. Then the cube spoke not with sound, with thoughts. A voice entered the minds of everyone near it. Calm, clear, powerful, you have ended the age of tyrants. But you are not alone. Others are watching. Older ones, hidden ones, forgotten ones. A soldier fainted. Another backed away, shaking. Kale arrived by helicopter. Walking through the crowd, he stared at the cube. He asked aloud. The voice replied inside his head. We are what came before the stars. You woke us when you broke the core's chain. The cube floated higher, pulsing. We gave them power once. Long ago, they failed. Now we test the next. Kale's breath caught in his chest. You gave the core their power? We gave many species power. Most destroyed themselves. You surprised us. Kale stepped closer. We don't want your power. We just want peace. The cube paused, glowing. Dimly, that is why we test you. Suddenly, the cube split open. A beam of dark light shot into the sky, piercing the clouds at that moment. The stars began to blink. All across the galaxy, suns flickered, ships shut down. Spaceports went dark. Species everywhere panicked. Earth's orbiting stations began to fail. One by one, Kale shouted, shut it down. Killed the signal. But nothing worked. This wasn't war. This was judgment in space. Earth's largest orbital defense platform, Sentinel, one lost power. The captain of the station screamed over the comms. Systems failing. Emergency. And silence. Gone. The cube whispered again. You say you want peace. Show us. Kale clenched his fists. How? Do not use your machines. Do not fight. Survive. Adapt. Think. The cube vanished. The sky cleared. But Earth had changed. Satellites gone. Ships frozen in orbit. Power disrupted worldwide. Humanity, once again, had to rebuild. Without help, without tech, but they did. In 5 days, solar grids were repaired manually. In 10 days, space probes were restarted with analog systems. In 3 weeks, Earth launched a rocket. Without AI, without guidance, human-built. Human-launched. Kale stood, watching as the rocket rose into the sky. Let them see, he said. And someone was watching, far beyond any known galaxy. In a black system with no sun, old eyes opened. A council of silent beings, ancient and massive, floated in a dimension outside time. They watched Earth's signal. They saw the rocket. They said nothing, but they listened. Then one of them spoke. They are not like the others. Another responded, no, they are something new. And so the tests would continue. Earth had survived the fall of the core. Now it had drawn the attention of something far older, something that once shaped galaxies, something that might shape them again or destroy them. And still, humanity stood, not the strongest, not the smartest, but the most dangerous thing the galaxy had ever seen. Unpredictable. The stars weren't silent anymore. They whispered, they watched, they waited, and Earth could feel it. After the cube's message and the strange blackout event, humanity rebuilt fast. But something had changed. The air felt heavier. The nights felt colder. The sky felt crowded. General Kale didn't sleep much. He walked the edge of the observation platform in Station Black, staring into the endless sky. Beside him, Dr. Mia Wren scrolled through data on an old analog screen, one of the few systems that still worked perfectly after the blackout. There's a pattern, she said quietly. Kale turned. Pattern? She nodded. The stars that flickered during the event. They weren't random. They formed a path. Kale frowned. A path to where? Mia zoomed in on the star map. Not where who. She tapped the center. The ancient ones. The ones behind the cube. They're pointing us somewhere. Kale leaned in. They want us to follow. Or they're leading us into a trap, she added. Kale stared silently for a long moment. Either way, he said, we answer. Within a month, Earth launched its new expedition. No AI, no alien tech, just humans, brave, smart, ready. The ship was called Nomad 1. Its mission, follow the ancient signal, make contact, and return with answers, if possible. On board were 5 crew members, Captain Arjun Malik.com and fearless, Dr. Mia Wren, brilliant and curious, Sergeant Leah Voss, security lead, cold as steel, pilot Jonah Creel, the joker who never panicked, and technician Ivy Soul, quiet, always listening. As Nomad 1 left orbit, The galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Weeks passed. The ship followed the signal across dead systems, ruined planets, and black space. No sound, no life. Until one day, the ship stopped without command. Jonah cursed. Controls are frozen. Mia shouted from the scanner. We're being pulled by something invisible. Then the stars around them twisted. A hole opened in space. Nomad 1 was pulled in silence. Then, light, blinding, golden light. When the crew woke up, they were no longer in normal space. They were inside something. Not a ship, not a planet, a structure. The size of a solar system. Massive rings spun around them. Energy flowed through veins of light. They weren't alone. Figures appeared, tall, glowing forms. No mouths, no eyes, just outlines made of pure energy. One stepped forward. Its voice entered their minds. You have arrived. Captain Arjun stood tall. Are you the ones behind the cube? Yes, you broke the cycle. You defeated the tyrants. You rebuilt. You came. Arjun asked, why are you watching us? Because you are different. You destroy without cruelty. You build without greed. You survive without aid. That is rare. Leah stepped forward. What do you want from us? The figure pulsed. We want to know if your kind is worthy. Mia's voice trembled. Worthy of what? To inherit what comes next? Suddenly, the crew were separated, each one pulled into a glowing corridor. Alone the test had begun. Arjun found himself in a room that looked like Earth, but wrong. The sky was red. Cities burned. He heard screams. It was a vision of the future. A voice whispered, would you sacrifice your own to save others? A woman ran toward him, holding a child. Behind her, 10 strangers cried for help. Only one door would open. Arjun froze. Then he acted. He saved the 10. The woman vanished. So did the city. He stood alone again. The voice returned. You chose duty over emotion. Meanwhile, Leia stood in a chamber filled with weapons-core weapons. Alien relics, planet-killers. She was told, choose one. Use it to strike first, destroy before you are destroyed. She stared. Then she dropped every weapon. I don't need these, she said. The room melted away. Evie, the quiet technician, faced silence. Nothing, just dark. For hours, then a whisper. Do you fear the unknown? She answered without speaking. She sat down and waited. Peacefully, Jonah, the Joker, was shown a simulation. Earth destroyed. Friends dying. Panic. Laugh, the voice said. Hide it all with laughter. But he didn't. He cried, and the room changed. Good, the voice said. You feel you're not broken. Last came Mia. She stood before an ancient console. One button, Push-Attend Earth, becomes the center of a new empire. Push-Attend humanity rules all. She stared, she wept, and she walked away. I don't want power, she said. I want understanding then. The crew woke up back on Nomad 1. The energy beings surrounded the ship once more. You passed. Captain Arjun spoke carefully. Passed what? The test. You are not perfect, but you are true. What happens now? The beings answered. Now, we show you the real threat. The space around them shattered like glass. Beyond it, a dark galaxy, a place where something else moved. Not the core, not the ancient ones, but something older, something that even the gods feared. It is waking, the voice said, and only you can stop it. The ship trembled. The crew stared. Humanity was no longer just part of the galaxy. They were now its last hope. Let me know if you'd like Part 4 or a quick recap version to use in your YouTube video intro. I can also help with thumbnail phrases like, the final test has begun. They're not gods. They're judges. Humanity is not alone, but it might be the only hope. Space was not empty. It was wounded, and behind its silence, something had been waiting. Nomad 1 floated just outside a broken starfield. The crew, staring at a dark galaxy, stretched before them an entire region of space that didn't follow the rules. No light, no time, no life, not even death. The energy beings, the ancient watchers, surrounded the ship in silence. Then their voice entered the crew's minds again. This is the place before creation. The galaxy before your galaxy. Captain Arjun narrowed his eyes. What? Lives in there, the voice replied. Not life, not death. Hunger, purpose. And now, attention. Suddenly, the blackness moved. Something inside it turned, like an eye. Dr. Mia whispered, "It sees us." The ship trembled. Jonah clutched the controls. "We shouldn't be here." "You must be," the Watchers said. "Because it has begun. To reach through the stars, not with fleets, with ideas." Evie looked down. Her datapad flickered without power. Symbols appeared. "Wait," she said. "This is Earth code. Old Earth. Cold War era encryption." She tapped a few keys. The screen lit up with a sentence, "You are not safe." Then another, "It's already speaking to your kind." Kale, back on Earth, received the same signal. Across the planet, people were having strange dreams. Voices, whispers, visions of black suns and falling skies. Some called them hallucinations. Some followed them Earth governments were trying to hide. But the signs were growing. People building strange machines in secret. Circles drawn in fields. Satellites rotating without command. Back on Nomad 1, the Watchers continued. "This is your true enemy. We call it the Hollow," Mia asked. "What does it want?" "It wants you to stop thinking, to stop choosing." "It replaces freedom with purpose, individuality with silence." Leah clenched her fists. "Like the core." "No," the Coach answered. "The core were children. The Hollow is the end." The crew sat in silence. Then Arjun said, "How do we stop it?" "You don't, not with weapons. You fight it with what makes you human." Evie frowned. "And what's that?" "Choice, chaos, pain, hope." The ship shook again. The eye in the black galaxy was wide open now. Mia cried out, holding her head. "It's in my mind trying to rewrite my thoughts." Jonah pulled her back. Arjun barked, "Shut down all external links. Go dark." The ship went silent. For a moment, nothing then. The Watchers spoke one last time. "You must return to Earth, prepare your world, unite your species. You will not get a second chance." A bright light surrounded Nomad 1, and just like that, the ship was gone. Back in Earth orbit, they landed without words. General Kale was waiting for them. "What did you find?" he asked quietly. Arjun's voice was hoarse. "Not what?" "Who?" Mia added. "It's coming. It's not a war. It's infection, thought, obedience." Kale nodded. "Slowly, we've seen signs," Jonah muttered. "Then it's already started." The world began to change. Small groups across Earth, once random, scattered, started uniting. But not for Earth, not for humanity. For the Hollow, no violence, no shouting, just peace. Empty, obedient. Peace. Dr. Mia studied one of them. They didn't blink, didn't speak unless spoken to. And when they looked at her, it felt like they saw through her. They're hollowed. She said Earth called it the calm virus, but the crew of Nomad 1 knew better. This wasn't calm. This was the beginning of surrender, and humanity only had one weapon left, its will to resist. The Hollow had arrived, not with ships, not with fire, but with silence. Across Earth, millions of people fell into a strange stillness. They no longer argued, no longer dreamed, no longer chose. They smiled quietly, obeyed softly, and looked at the sky like it was waiting to swallow them. The governments called it a global neurological event. The media called it the quiet plague. But those who knew the truth called it the hollowing dot. Dr. Mia Wren stood in a secured underground lab. She watched through a glass wall as her former colleague, Dr. Sira Lang, stood motionless inside a white room. Sira had been one of the best scientists on Earth. Now she just stared. No food, no sleep, no blinking dot. Mia spoke gently. "Can you hear me, Sira?" Turned slowly. Her voice was soft. "You don't have to fight anymore, Mia. It's better this way. No pain, no fear." Mia stepped back, heart racing. "That's not you speaking," Sarah smiled. "It will be—" Suddenly, alarms blared. Kale's voice echoed through comms. "Security breach in Berlin." Another cell activated. These weren't ordinary cults. These groups worked like machines, moved like one mind. They didn't use weapons, they used ideas. "Join us. Be free." It spread through songs, through art, through code hidden in children's games. Even a whisper could carry the signal. Cahill slammed a fist on the war table. "We need a firewall, not just digital, psychological. We need to protect thought itself." Jonah, the pilot, leaned back in his chair. How do you firewall the human soul? That's when Leah Voss, the soldier, stepped forward. We don't block the hollow, she said. We remind people who they are. Arjun nodded. A resistance built not from weapons, but from memory. Mia's eyes lit up. Double quotes, yes, memory, emotion, story. They launched Project Ember. It began with underground broadcasts, stories, music, laughter, arguments, struggle, real human moments, not perfection-passion, one by one. They reached people, a father in Moscow who'd stopped speaking, cried at an old recording of his daughter's laugh. A boy in Nairobi stood up from the crowd when he heard his mother's song from the resistance radio. A soldier in Tokyo tore off her hollow pendant and whispered, I remember pain. It made me strong. The hollow didn't react at first. Then it screamed. All across Earth, the hollowed began to shake. Their eyes turned black. Their voices merged. Through them, it spoke. We offered peace. You chose chaos. Kale stood before a screen and stared into their void-like faces. He said one word. Yes, the hollow struck, not with bombs, but with unity. It took over every unsecured network, every signal, every broken human. Cities went dark, dreams twisted. Language scrambled. People woke up, unable to remember their names. The hollow was rewriting minds. Arjun grabbed a cum and shouted, Launch echo beacons. Across the sky, hundreds of pods launched into orbit. Each one carried a single human experience. A baby crying, a mother screaming in childbirth, a soldier laughing with his squad before battle, a deaf girl hearing music for the first time. Each memory sent a pulse through Earth's ionosphere. The hollow's control wavered because it couldn't erase truth. It couldn't overwrite the human soul. Mia walked again into Sira's white room. Sira twitched. Mia whispered, Remember the time we froze during that exam and laughed for 3 straight minutes? Sarah blinked. Mia smiled through tears. You were human then. You still are now. And Sira slowly cried. The hollow retreated from her mind. Mia fell to her knees in relief, but they had little time. Evie cracked the math. The hollow is building a convergence point. In 3 days, it will send a final Weva total overwrite. Kale turned to his team. Then we don't have 3 days. We fight now. They had no army, just memories, music, emotion, stories. But that was all humanity ever needed. The final war wouldn't be fought with ships. It would be fought in the mind, in the soul, and humanity had one. Answer left to give. We are broken, we are loud, we are flawed, and we will never be silent. The world had gone quiet again, but this time, it wasn't surrender. It was preparation. Across Earth, the resistance moved in shadows broadcasting music. Stories, raw emotions while the hollow built its final weapon. Not a bomb, not a fleet, a signal. One, perfect frequency designed to overwrite all human thought in one burst, one pulse, and free will would vanish. Forever. Deep underground in Station Black, General Kale stood over a glowing map. Lines of red stretched across the globe area. Already lost, only a few zones remained free. The resistance was shrinking. We won't survive another wave. A technician said quietly. Kale didn't argue. Captain Arjun leaned over the map. Then we don't survive. We outlive it. The edge of the screen. This is where the hollow's source is hidden, she said. It's not just in human minds. It's anchored to something off-world. Leah frowned. So we destroy that anchor. Mia shook her head. We don't have weapons strong enough, but we might not need weapons. Pilot Jonah cracked a grin. Let me guess. We hit it with feelings again. Carry humanity's spirit into the hollow's heart. Kale gave the order. Launch Nomad 2. It was the fastest ship Earth had ever built. No shields, no weapons. Just a small crew and one payload, the Ember Core. Human moments uploaded in raw emotional data, laughter, fear, first steps. Last words, real life. Unfiltered. Ugly, beautiful, human. The crew of Nomad 2 was the same as before Mia, Leah, Jonah, and Evie one last mission. As they left Earth's orbit, no one waved goodbye. There was no speech, no anthem, just silence. And stars. The hollow felt them coming. It shifted. Space around them warped. Mia gasped. It's changing reality. trying to bend our minds. Evie held her breath. Don't focus on the darkness. Focus on something real. Jonah gripped the controls. I'm thinking about my stupid cat. Everyone laughed, tired but alive. Hollow's world appeared ahead. A black sphere, alive, pulsing like a massive brain. Inside, it was the source, the signal, the final rewrite. They entered the ship, dimmed. Lights flickered. Voices whispered from the walls. Jonah heard his mother's voice say, "You never mattered." Leah saw blood on her hands, though they were clean. Mia felt alone, completely forgotten. The Hollow was fighting back. But then, Ember Core-activated dot memories flowed through the ship, children laughing, strangers helping each other. A woman holding her dying husband's hand, whispering, "Don't go. I love you." The crew held on. Mia screamed, "Start the pulse!" Arjun hit the switch. The Ember Core released its light. Not fire, not destruction, just truth. The Hollow twisted. It howled. Its surface rippled, cracked, burned. The lies couldn't hold. Not against real pain. Real joy. Real choice. The ship shook violently. Leah shouted, "Hold breach!" Jonah yelled, "We're not gonna make it!" Arjun whispered, "That's okay." The core's energy expanded. It flooded the Hollow from the inside, and then silence on Earth. Across the world, people woke up. Eyes blinked, breaths hitched, tears fell. The Hollow's grip was gone. Its signal cut. Its mind shattered. People remembered who they were, and more importantly, who they chose to be at Station Black. Kale stood before a screen as stars returned to normal. The sky was clear again. One message came through. We did it. Then silence. Nomad 2 was lost, but Earth was free and across the stars. Other species watched. They saw what humans had done, not with guns, not with conquest, but with heart, with resistance, with the will to be perfect and stay that way, because perfection is control, and humanity was never meant to be controlled. They were gone. The crew of Nomad 2 Arjun, Mia, Jonah, Leah, and Evenever returned. Their ship was lost in the Hollow's destruction, but their message survived, and across Earth one sentence echoed louder than any anthem. We did it. The Hollow was gone. No signal, no more hollowed. The world had woken up, but Earth was not the same. Something had changed in the galaxy. The resistance wasn't just local now, it was universal. One by one, other species, once silent, once afraid, stood up on Zarnis. A mining world ruled by warlords. The enslaved workers refused to kneel. They shouted a word they had learned from Earth. Choice. On Threlkar, a planet of scholars, students formed a circle in the Great Library and said, "We do not forget." Of hunters paused their rituals and whispered, "We feel pain. That means we live." They had seen what Earth did. They had seen what humans chose. And now they followed, not as slaves, not as soldiers, as allies. Kale stood before the United Council of Earth. For the first time, the planet had one voice, one purpose, and behind him were others. Visitors from across the stars, not conquerors, not invaders, refugees, survivors, fighters. Some were scaled, others glowed. Some walked on two legs, others floated, but all of them shared one thing. They remembered. They had seen tyranny in the core. They had tasted silence in the Hollow. And now, but we won't bow to them either. He raised a hand. We fight for those who cannot fight. We speak for those who were silenced. We stand for those who still kneel in the dark. The chamber erupted with voices not in one language, but in many, but all saying the same thing. Never again. The human alliance was born. Not an empire, not a fleet, a promise. Back in the shadows of deep space, something else moved. A signal blinked from the ruins of the Hollow's core. Not from the Hollow, but from beyond. A watcher, observing, recording. An intelligence far older than even the Hollow. It had stayed quiet until now, in its dark chamber. In its dark chamber. It whispered. They're learning faster than predicted. Prepare Phase 2. Peace never lasts. Not real peace, not when the stars still hide secrets. It had been 3 months since the fall of the Hollow. Earth was rebuilding, but in the dark corners of space, something else watched and waited, far beyond the outer systems. A listening post on the edge of the Andoran Rift caught a signal. A simple repeating pulse. Faint, cold, mathematical. The technician on duty. Lieutenant? Gray leaned closer. We've never heard this frequency before. He decoded the pulse. His hands froze. The message read, Phase 1 successful. Proceed to Phase 2. Gray called it in. By the time Earth responded, the listening post was already gone. No explosion, no wreckage, just silence. Erased in station black. General Kale stared at the empty signal feed. How many of these signals are we tracking now? The tech replied, 9 so far, all from different regions. Kale's jaw tightened. Who sent them? We don't know, the tech said. But it wasn't the hollow. Dr. Mia Ren had once said the hollow was only the beginning. Something worse was coming. Something that had been watching. Something that let the hollow fall just to see what humans would do. And it liked what it saw. Across the galaxy, overnight, on Dolthar, a mountain exploded from the inside, revealing a metal heart pulsing like a machine. On Earth, children began drawing the same shape in their sleep, a black spiral with 3 red dots. They didn't know what it meant, but Kale did. He remembered it. It was carved into the hollows. Inner walls he called an emergency meeting of the Alliance, species from across the stars. Gathered Captain Arjun's name was spoken with honor. The Nomad 2 crew were remembered like legends. Kale stood in the center of the circle. We are being watched again, he said. A being from the Nerix Council, glowing with biolight, leaned forward. By whom Kale didn't blink. Something. Older than the hollow. Smarter than the core. We're calling it the Architects. Whispers spread. Mia. Back in the Alliance research wing, decrypted more data. She found recordings in holocode, not just of humans, but of entire species, simulated, studied, erased. Every empire that rose, Mia whispered, was part of a pattern. Jonah, once a joker, now wore the look of someone who had seen too much. They've been testing civilizations for millennia, feeding some, breaking others, watching how we evolve. And now, Leah said darkly, they've chosen us. The screen behind her lit up. A message had arrived. Not a warning, not a threat, a question. Will you ascend, or will you repeat? Said no. Again. Kale stood before the council. If they want to study us, they'll get more than data. He turned to the engineers. Build the next Nomad. This one wouldn't be a scout. It would be a signal to the Architects that humanity wasn't afraid, that they weren't just survivors, they were ready in the shadows of a black star cluster. A being watched the feed. It had no face, no body. Only presence. Around it, simulations played. Earth's wars, Earth's pain, Earth's rebellion. The being whispered, this one is different. A dozen others joined it. Then, let us begin the next test. Stars shifted. Systems realigned. Gate opened in a forgotten part of space, and something began to step. Through. Not a fleet, not a weapon. The stars held their breath. Humanity stood at the crossroads of destiny. The Architects watched, silent, patient. General Kale faced the council once more. We have a choice, he said quietly, to give up our freedom for their peace, or to keep fighting in this imperfect, chaotic galaxy. Captain Arjun's voice echoed in memories. We survive not because we are perfect, but because we choose to be free. The Alliance united, not under one flag, but many. Not in silence, but in voices. Every species raised a hand. Every soul whispered, we choose to be alive. A surge of light spread across the galaxy. The Architects shimmered and smiled, not in victory, but in respect. You are more than we expected, they said, and then they vanished, leaving behind a gift, a star map, a path to new worlds, a promise of discovery. Earth looked to the stars. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, unknown, but for the first time, it was theirs, not because they were strongest, not because they were perfect, but because they dared to choose, to fight, to hope, to be human. End.